Good evening, boys and girls. I have a story for you this evening called Amazing Grace by Mary Hoffman. She reminds me of some of you with the missing teeth. And this is a fiction or make-believe story, but there's an element based on truth, and I'll explain at the end. Grace was a girl who loved stories. She didn't mind if they were read to her or told to her or made up in her own head. She didn't care if they were in books or movies or out of Nana's long memory. Grace just loved stories. After she heard them, and sometimes while they were still going on, Grace would act them out. She always gave herself the most exciting part. Grace went into battle as Joan of Arc. She wove a wicked web as Anansi the spider. We have that story in the library. She hid inside the wooden horse at the gates of Troy. She went exploring for long-lost kingdoms. She sailed the 7 seas with a peg leg and a parrot. She's got quite the imagination, doesn't she? She was Hiawatha sitting by the shining big sea water and Mowgli in the backyard jungle. That's Jungle Book, that story. Most of all, Grace loved to act out adventure stories and fairy tales. When there was no one else around, Grace played all the parts herself. She set out to seek her fortune with no companion but her trusty cat. She and found a city with streets paved in gold. Or she was Aladdin rubbing the magic lamp to make the genie appear. Sometimes she could get Ma and Nana to join in when they weren't too busy. Then she was Dr. Grace, and their lives were in her hands. One day, Grace's teacher said they would do a play, Peter Pan. Grace knew who she wanted to be. She raised her hand. Raj said, "You can't be Peter. That's a boy's name." But Grace kept her hand up. "You can't be Peter Pan," whispered Natalie. "He isn't black." But Grace kept her hand up. "All right," said the teacher. "Lots of you want to be Peter Pan. So we'll have auditions next week to choose parts." She gave them words to learn. Does it matter if you're a boy or girl? Or what color your skin is? Nope. There we go. When Grace got home, she seemed sad. "What's the matter?" Ma said. "Raj said I can't be Peter Pan because I'm a girl." "That just shows what Raj knows," said Mom. "A girl can be Peter Pan if she wants to." Grace cheered up. Then later she remembered something else. "Natalie says I can't be Peter Pan because I'm black," she said. Ma looked angry, but before she could speak, Nana said, "It seems that Natalie is another one who don't know nothing. You can be anything you want, Grace, if you put your mind to it." On Saturday, Nana told Grace they were going out in the afternoon. They caught a bus and a train into town. Nana took Grace to the Grand Theater. The sign outside read, Rosalie Wilkins in Romeo and Juliet in sparkling lights. We are going to the ballet, Nana? Asked Grace. We are, honey, but first I want you to look at this picture. Grace looked up and saw a beautiful young ballerina in a tutu. Above the dancer, it said, Stunning New Juliet. That one is little Rosalie from back home in Trinidad, said Nana. Her granny and me, we grew up together on the island. She's always asking me, do I want tickets to see her Rosalie dance? So this time I said yes. After the ballet, Grace played out the part of Juliet, dancing around her room in her imaginary tutu. I can be anything I want, she thought. On Monday, the class met for auditions to choose who was the best for each part. When it was Grace's turn to be Peter Pan, she knew exactly what to do and all the words to say. She had been Peter Pan all weekend. She took a deep breath and imagined herself flying. When it was time to vote, the class chose Raj to be Captain Hook and Natalie to be Wendy. There was no doubt who would be Peter Pan. Everyone voted for Grace. You were fantastic, whispered Natalie. The play was a big success. Grace was an amazing Peter Pan. And after it was all over, she said, I feel as if I could fly all the way home. You probably could, said Ma. Yes, said Nana. If Grace puts her mind to it, she can do anything she wants. Oh, I like her costume. And that's the end. Okay, now, like I said, there was an element of truth to the story. We have this story in our library. It's called Misty. And Misty is a real person. This is a story about her. Let me find, where is it? Come on. There it is. Let me show you. She was the very first Black lady to be a principal dancer. The principal ballet dancer is like the lead, the top person, the main one that gets all the fancy parts and is highlighted. She was the first Black one. So many people felt, because ballet had been around for years and years, and they were always white dancers, that that's the way it should be. And she worked very hard, and she became the very first African American woman to be a lead dancer. So, Grace is a make-believe story, but there's an element of truth to it. And both of these stories are available here in the library. The Grace Stories is one of several different ones. If you're interested, let me know. In the meantime, good night, sleep tight, and happy dreams. Bye now.